No matter what team you support, every Formula One fan has a special place in their heart for Daniel Ricciardo. The Aussie driver has raced for some of the biggest teams on the grid, but fans have noticed he hasn't had the best season this year. But he's not backing down, and in today's video, we're talking about his plans over the summer break and where we're going to see him next season. First up, let's look at a mid-season review. Ricciardo's season hasn't been the strongest of the summer break, and the numbers are looking pretty bleak for the McLaren driver. His teammate, Lando, has 76 points halfway through the season, while Daniel is struggling behind at a mere 19. For the most part, it's because he's having trouble with his new car. After Formula One changed car regulations for the 2022 season, McLaren built the most out-of-the-box model, and it's not matching his driving style at all. Lando acknowledged his teammate's issue, saying he understood why the fellow driver was struggling, since the new car has plenty of quirks that make it much tougher to drive, and the Brit is having a much easier time keeping up. Currently, Daniel is in 12th place in the driver's standings, a much lower position than when he was in the bigger teams such as Red Bull. While he knows how much he's at fault, he also knows the car just isn't working for him. In a post-race interview at the French Grand Prix, he even openly said, "Give me a winning car and I'll win." That showed fans just how badly he was struggling with the redesign, and we'll have to wait and see how he performs in the second half of the season. After the final race at the Hungaroring, he reflected on his season again, saying he suddenly dropped speed out of nowhere and has extra trouble dealing with those tight corners and chicanes every circuit is famous for. There's also plenty of pressure from the higher-ups. McLaren CEO Zak Brown talked publicly about how Ricciardo wasn't meeting expectations. We can't exactly blame him for thinking that. After all, the Honey Badger is still a world-class driver with plenty of wins under his belt. His team is still sitting comfortably at the top of the midfield behind bigwigs Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. But with only 4 top 10 finishes out of 13 in the first half of the season, it's no wonder that he's so far behind with points. When you spend 6 months in a car you can barely drive, along with staying in the shadow of your much younger teammate, you're bound to be a little disappointed at the end. But, as usual, the Aussie is cheerful and undefeated, and he's got big plans for the summer break. And here's how he's going to spend it. After 6 straight months of constant traveling between continents and driving exhausting races at unreal speeds, the month-long summer break is a welcome change in any F1 driver's season. It's a time to recharge, connect with family, focus on building physical strength, and prepare yourself for the season's next half. But Daniel has much bigger expectations of what the break will bring. He's thankful for the time off, as he talked about how he's less than happy with his season so far. He referred to the current atmosphere in F1 as intense, with even the hotels flooded with people. It's easy for anyone to get overwhelmed and tired, and he went on to call the whole thing a circus, saying that he's not even free on the weekends. When your career involves an average speed of 120 miles an hour, you do have to learn to keep up. The second half of 2022 will begin with a triple threat of some of the biggest races on the calendar, namely Spa in Belgium, Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and the iconic driver favorite Monza in Italy. We're hoping Daniel sticks to the tradition after that incredible win at the Italian Grand Prix last season. The driver said that the opportunity to switch off allows him to recharge and fully reset effortlessly, giving him back the chance to come back at full force. For the start of the break, he just wants to chill, meet up with friends, hang out with his family, and have some fun. But he knows that halfway through the 4-week break, he'll have gotten out of vacation mode and will be ready to attack the 3 big names. McLaren is also simultaneously working to make the car more comfortable for him to drive, which means he might just be 2022's comeback kid. Either way, he's ready to build up his hunger for racing and winning again, and we can't wait to see where that motivation will take him. The Honey Badger is ready to start up at the end of August with a huge bang, which means the second half might be the first in terms of exciting races. But does he have a future in Formula One? A difficult car and a tough season aren't Daniel's only problems. He's also struggling with the biggest issue any F1 driver can have, because his seat isn't confirmed for next year. With 20 spots on the grid, competition is already tough, and Daniel happens to be one of the older guys on the grid. Every year, younger and younger newbies are coming in, especially if an older driver isn't performing. Every year when the summer break starts, silly season follows. Drivers are retiring, changing teams, renewing contracts, and taking each other's places, and this continues long into the summer break and beyond. After Sebastian Vettel announced his shocking retirement, a series of insane updates followed. Fernando Alonso took Seb's seat at Aston Martin, Oscar Piastri was the centerpiece of the most hilarious mix-up of the year, and now Daniel's seat is at stake. Initially, Finally, there were rumors around a retirement announcement from the Perth native floating around, which is expected for most drivers with a lot of experience. He shut them down instantly, saying that he was under contract with McLaren until the end of the 2023 season and he expects to see it through. But now, after Oscar himself revealed that Alpine signing him was a false announcement and a lie, it looks like he's rising above the rank of a reserve driver next year. Instead of Alpine, a complete 180 ended with McLaren considering the young Formula 2 winner instead. And Lando's not the driver they're giving up. The team has reportedly told Daniel that they intend to replace him with Oscar next year, cutting his contract short and potentially leaving him without a seat next year. Apparently, Piastri has already been signed as a reserve driver, and once Daniel's early exit is confirmed, he's going to join the team full-time as Lando's teammate. The team has been clear about the fact that they can still have the new driver, even though Alpine says they have him under contract for the next season. Daniel has also made it clear that he doesn't want to move to McLaren's Formula E team next year, and the racing world is betting he'll end up back at Alpine, where he drove when they were still called Renault. After all, there's a free seat left behind by Alonso, and who better to take it than a beloved former driver? However, the driver and his team need to agree to a settlement to terminate the contract, and until they put pen to paper, nothing is set in stone. Next up, here's what else is happening on the grid. For starters, what was that drama with Oscar? One of the most experienced drivers on the grid and a two-time world champion, Fernando Alonso, made waves when he announced his move to Aston Martin after Sebastian announced he was retiring. But the biggest question was who exactly would take his seat. Alpine proudly announced that Oscar Piastri, the young F2 and F3 winner, would take his place next year. But Oscar didn't exactly get that memo, because just a few hours after the announcement, he tweeted that he had no deal with Alpine, and they'd made the announcement without even telling him. And next, Alex Albon is the sport's funniest guy. The Thai-British driver has driven for Williams since he started the sport, and it's been confirmed that he's going to stick with them for a few more years. But the way he announced his contract renewal had the whole F1 world in tears of laughter. After the whole Piastri drama, Alex couldn't resist poking fun at his rival. He posted a tweet phrased exactly like Oscar's denial, but instead confirmed his spot at Williams in the future. Mercedes driver George Russell even reacted to the tweet, dropping a couple of laughing emojis for his fellow driver. Finally, here are the done deals for 2023. Amid all the drama for next year and beyond, it's comforting to know that certain teams won't be changing up their driver lineup. The top three are all retaining their drivers, meaning Leclerc and Sainz will stay with Ferrari, Hamilton and Russell will stick with Mercedes, and Verstappen and Checo are good to go for Red Bull. The only altered driver lineup to be confirmed is Alonso, who is joining Lance Stroll at Aston Martin. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think is next for Daniel? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.